All right, how you doing, everyone? Today we are back at it with this PlayStation 5. It has overheating issues, and so first thing we're going to be doing is cleaning up the liquid metal. This is always the first step as far as overheating issues go. Um, so go ahead and get that cleaned up. And the reason it does this, that the liquid metal needs to be cleaned in the first place, is after a while of heating, it oxidizes, meaning it creates a layer that doesn't transfer heat very well. And eventually it gets to the point where it doesn't transfer enough heat to keep the system cool, then the system crashes, so on and so forth. So we're just going to be doing that first, and we'll see how it goes. So first we're going to use IPA, 99% isopropyl alcohol with this Q-tip. And as you can see, um, once you scrape the oxidized layer off, you'll see your Q-tip start collecting a bit of this little black gunk. That's the oxidation layer coming off. You are going to want to clean the surface as much as possible to where that uh, black residue no longer comes off, meaning there's no more left. And because liquid metal is hydrophobic, um, it will not stick to anything with isopropyl alcohol on it. And you can see I'm doing this little technique where I use the isopropyl side of the Q-tip just to kind of roll the liquid metal back onto the surface. And then next I'll use the dry side of a new one to actually rub it in. Um, and I mean, it'll take a little while for it to really stick, but once it starts to stick, it'll pull up and you'll know it's good to go when pretty much it looks like a giant pool of liquid metal. Um, if you tilt it one way, all the liquid metal is going to flow to one side. If you tilt it the other way, so on and so forth. Um, so we're going to do that to the motherboard side. Then we're going to do it to the heatsink side, and then we'll see what happens. All right, so now that that's all cleaned up, we're going to put it back together just enough to test. We're just looking to see if it'll fully boot. So in that case, we don't need the fan connected or really anything like that. We just need uh, the heatsink bracket uh, to hold everything together. And we're going to put that on. First, we're going to put the little pressure shield and then the actual bracket itself. All right, go ahead and tighten down the screws. Try not to over tighten them. I know it's very easy to do with an electric screwdriver, so be very mindful of that. All right, so we got blue light and a white light. So we got white light with display, so we know there's not an HDMI issue. And then it dies. So it's not fixed yet. Um, I don't think that's due to the overheating. Um, so what I'm going to do next is a BIOS update, or not really update. I'm going to reflash a new BIOS to it uh, and see how that goes. All right. So actually, if we're going to start with doing UART first. Um, UART's absolutely amazing at telling you what is possibly wrong. Um, it can go very in depth as far as pointing you in the right direction, whether it's RAM or heat issue or fuse. Um, so UART's very helpful. You only need to solder 3 pins. It is motherboard specific. So this is an EDM 033 board. Um, so you can look that up on consoleservicetools.com, I believe, um, for how to do it. You will also need some sort of a USB bridge adapter. Um, I believe you need a 3.3 volt one, or one that can operate at 3.3 volts, um, in order to actually use it with the PlayStation. You will also need to have the power connected to the motherboard from the wall, because just the USB power to the pins will not actually turn the board on to the point where UART will work. Um, you don't need to turn the console on, so don't worry about that. But definitely, the board needs to have external power. Um, so we'll do that. There's only 3 lines. There's ground, and then there's transmit and receive. And you're going to plug those into the opposite ones on the on whatever your USB adapter is. So transmit and receive from the board will go to receive and transmit on the USB adapter. And then from there, we can use an online tool. Um, or I guess they have their standalone tool now, console service tool, in order to actually read the error codes. Um, And then usually I go to like UARTcodes.com to actually research further what the codes actually mean. So we'll go ahead and get this plugged in and we'll see what codes we get. All right, so UART didn't really show anything conclusive. There was a couple abnormal heating issues, but that was from the old log. So now we're going to work on the BIOS chip. Right now, I'm just tinning the pads to make hot air removal easier. I've also used aluminum tape to try to protect the South Bridge chip right next to it, as well as any other components from possibly flying away. So go ahead and get these tinned and then use some hot air and put it on a debug board. I believe I use a CH341A, I believe is the model. Yeah, 341A. And this is specifically for BIOS programming. So we'll go ahead and get this going, and I'll be back. All right, so now we're in AS Programmer, and this is what I use to read and write data off of the BIOS chip. So first things first, we have to actually read the chip. You have to select the right one first. So take a look very closely at the Winbond model number on the chip to find it. Find the right one, press read IC, and we always want to make a backup. It didn't capture the backup, or me making the backup, but that's what I'm doing here. So you always want to make a backup, and then I'm going to choose the new BIOS that we're going to write to it, or the clean BIOS, I should say. Um, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to write it in a certain way. So what I just clicked was, I believe it unprotects, writes it, and then verifies it. And I believe doing that is a better way. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I believe I do it one or two more times just to be sure, or I verify it one or two more times just to be sure. And we'll see how that goes. All right, so this is the last clip I got. This is just me taking off the Winbond chip from the adapter board to the CH341A. So as of right now, redoing the BIOS did get it to at least consistently boot into the dashboard. But now we're coming into overheating issues. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on. Next step is to replace the fan and see if that's the issue. And I know in some extreme cases, sometimes it's the power supply that's actually causing the overheating. Um, so if the new fan doesn't work, we'll try a new power supply, and that really should solve any overheating issues by covering the liquid metal, the fan, and the power supply. If there's anything else wrong with it, I'll let you know. All right, see you guys.